What you're seeing is not a scene from history, but the grim reality of October 2025. Over 3 years since the full-scale invasion began, the war in Ukraine rages on, a relentless conflict that has reshaped not just a nation, but the entire global order. The initial shock has faded, replaced by a brutal, grinding reality. So what is the true state of the war right now? Where are the front lines? What are the strategies? And what does the future hold? Let's break it down. As we enter the winter of 2025, the front line has become a deeply entrenched scar across eastern and southern Ukraine. The focus remains heavily on the Donetsk region. The battles for key strategic points like Avdiivka, which fell over a year ago, have set the stage for a slow, methodical Russian advance. It's a war of inches, not miles. Both sides are engaged in ferocious trench warfare, reminiscent of a century ago, but now dominated by 21st century technology. Drones are the all-seeing eyes, and artillery is the king of the battlefield. Casualty numbers on both sides have reached staggering heights, a testament to the intensity of this attritional conflict. In the south, the landscape is different. Following the limited gains of Ukraine's 2023 counteroffensive, this front has solidified into one of the most heavily fortified zones on the planet. We're talking multiple layers of defense, vast minefields, anti-tank ditches, and concrete bunkers. Any major offensive maneuver here would require an overwhelming force and come at an immense cost, a price neither side seems willing or able to pay at this moment. The southern front has become a holding action, a strategic stalemate where the main goal is to prevent a breakthrough. Let's look at Russia's strategy. From Moscow's perspective, this is a long war. Their economy, though strained by sanctions, has fully transitioned to a war footing. Military factories are operating around the clock, churning out tanks, artillery shells, and drones. President Putin's rhetoric remains firm, framing the conflict as an existential struggle against the West. On the ground, their tactic is one of meat grinder assaults, overwhelming Ukrainian positions with sheer mass, accepting heavy losses to gain small, incremental bits of territory. The goal is to wear down Ukraine's military and its will to fight, believing that time is on their side. Now, what about Ukraine? President Zelensky continues to rally his people and the world, his message one of unwavering defiance. But the challenges are immense. The Ukrainian military is stretched thin, fighting a numerically superior foe. Their strategy is one of active defense, inflicting maximum casualties on attacking Russian forces while preserving their own. Western weapons like HIMARS, Leopard tanks, and now the long-awaited F-16 fighter jets have been crucial. They haven't been a magic bullet, but they've allowed Ukraine to contest the skies and strike deep behind Russian lines, disrupting logistics and command centers. The skill and adaptability of Ukrainian soldiers remain their greatest assets. However, the war is not just fought on the battlefield. It's a war of resources and resilience. Ukraine is facing a severe manpower shortage. Recruitment efforts are ongoing, but the exhaustion is palpable among the civilian population. Russia continues its campaign of targeting critical infrastructure. Power stations, heating plants, and water supplies are prime targets, plunging cities into darkness and cold, a cruel strategy designed to break civilian morale as another harsh winter sets in. For ordinary Ukrainians, survival itself is a form of resistance. This conflict has long since spilled beyond Ukraine's borders, drawing in global powers in a complex web of alliances and rivalries. For the United States and Europe, the debate over aid is more contentious than ever. Ukraine fatigue is a real political force. While strategic support continues, the sheer scale and cost of aid packages face increasing scrutiny in Western capitals. Every debate in the US Congress or the EU Parliament directly impacts the flow of ammunition and equipment to the front lines. Meanwhile, Russia has deepened its partnerships. The no-limits friendship with China provides a vital economic and diplomatic lifeline, allowing Moscow to weather Western sanctions. Countries like India continue to navigate a delicate balance, maintaining economic ties with Russia while calling for peace. The global economy remains hostage to the war. The blockade of Ukrainian grain, though partially eased by international agreements, still threatens global food security. Energy markets are in a constant state of flux. Europe has weaned itself off Russian gas, but the rerouting of global energy flows has created new dependencies and vulnerabilities. Every drone strike on a port or pipeline sends ripples through the world's economy. And looming over everything is the nuclear threat. The situation around occupied power plants like Zaporizhzhia remains a constant source of international anxiety, a terrifying reminder of how quickly this conflict could escalate into a catastrophe. So where does this all lead? There are several potential paths forward, none of them easy. One scenario is a continued war of attrition, a frozen conflict on a massive scale, where the front lines barely move for months or even years, while both societies continue to bleed resources and lives. Another possibility is a sudden breakthrough, perhaps enabled by a new technology or a critical strategic blunder, though the current defensive fortifications make this unlikely. And then there is the path of negotiation. Behind the scenes, diplomatic channels remain open, but the gap between Kiev's demand for the restoration of its 1991 borders and Moscow's insistence on holding its annexed territories seems unbridgeable for now. A genuine peace process would likely require a major shift on the battlefield or significant political changes in either Moscow or Kiev. As we look at the satellite view, zooming out from the scarred earth of Ukraine, the human cost is what remains most stark. Millions displaced, families torn apart, a generation growing up under the shadow of war. The ruins are not just of buildings, but of lives and futures. The resilience of the Ukrainian people has been extraordinary, but their suffering is immeasurable. This conflict has shown the world the brutal nature of modern warfare and the fragility of the international order we once took for granted. The path to a lasting peace remains unclear, and for now, the struggle for Ukraine's future, and indeed for the future of European security, continues. Thank you for watching. Understanding the complexities of this war is more important than ever. If you found this analysis helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more in-depth reports. Stay informed and stay safe.